So how many pounds are they going to lose this year as a goal to feel successful? They think they want it, but the way they frame it in their mind makes it so time goes by and we don't do anything. Again, you're sabotaging yourself. This is the loser technique and talent.
It is tough. You step on that scale and I'm a loser. And the focus is on everything you can't have.
How do I make a process for something when I don't know what I'm trying to achieve? And we spend more time fighting with ourselves over what we say we want than actually taking action towards it. You're hating the process because things are completely out of whack there, whether we realize it or not.
I think it's going to make a big difference in a lot of people's lives in 2024.
Welcome to Armoury Podcast, episode number 6, where we dive into a very popular topic for this time of the year, goals, right? We got a new year coming, new things we want to achieve, become, do, and we are very excited to bring this topic to light and frame it in a way where you can really help yourself with setting goals, or you can really hinder yourself with setting goals. So the idea is the way you set them is going to make the biggest difference. We have defined one thing as a loser goal, which I'm thinking you don't want to do that one. And we've got the champion's goal. We'll explain the differences and then stay tuned for a special announcement at the end that could be even more help for you as you try and make 2024 your best year yet. Yo.
It is that time of year when we kind of start looking back at the previous months. What did we accomplish? Did we do what we set out to do? Do we even have any clue of what we had thought we wanted to do with the year? And then we start looking ahead. We start looking ahead to next year, what we'd like to accomplish again, maybe where we'd like to be in 12 months, how we'd like the whole year to shape up. And I was thinking to myself, we need an expert on this. We need a guest to come on this podcast who's done a lot of studying, has a passion for this. It's kind of their niche. So, ladies and gentlemen, Matt Mantai.
Thank you very much.
It's your area of expertise.
Yeah.
And some conversations we've had and something I learned from you, one of many things I've learned from you, is there's a couple different ways that you can set goals. And one has a much higher success rate, much more empowering, energizing, rate of return, all of that. And the other one has far less. So let's start with that one.
Oh my, good question. Where do we start? Yeah, this is a packed topic, but you're right that for whatever reason, a few years ago, I realized that I didn't really know how to set the goal, and all of the pros, all of the guys in the motivational books, what did they talk about all the time? Setting goals, right? Setting goals. And they would have their ways to do it and such. And I thought, would I do it? Well, I have my books to read, so generally, we'll get to that. I don't really need it. But eventually, I kind of hit the crossroads. I'm like, man, I think this could really unlock something. I got to actually try it here. I got to do it. And that sent me down this journey of just being like, I don't know if I call it obsessed, but very, very, very interesting.
Obsessed. It's become your thing.
Yes, in the process of goal setting. What is it? How do we actually do it? And how does it help us succeed? Right? So with that, I would say to answer your question, talking about there's more successful ways to do it, and definitely really sabotaging ways to do it, I would even call it. And the sabotaging ways, I call them a loser's goal.
A loser's goal.
A loser's goal.
We know right away that isn't the energizing and
That's probably not the type of goal that people want to set, right? But it's actually what a lot of people do to themselves without knowing it, right? And I'm not calling these people losers, for the record. That's actually not where the loser comes from. It generally comes from the way that people set goals is what they're going to lose. And a perfect example is we're in the fitness industry, right? So how many pounds are they going to lose this year as a goal to feel successful? I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I'm going to lose 50 pounds. I'm going to lose 100 pounds. And right there, for obvious reasons, you've turned it into a loser's goal, right? Because even though that is it's not bad to lose weight, the way that you're saying it to yourself is in the negative. Losing, right? Another one is being a quitter, right? I quit smoking. I quit drinking. Those could be very good things, but you're framing it in the negative. Instead, you have to change that, and you have to say, I am a non-smoker, right? Instead of I lose, I weigh a certain amount, right? And just switching your language a little bit can take you from a loser's goal into the different kind of goal that we will dive into right there.
And that's a great way to phrase it. And I think it is important because we don't actually give enough credit to what our mindset is and what we're telling ourselves, the story we're telling ourselves, the way we're telling ourselves that we are and what we want to be. And if we frame it in that negative, that I want to lose, I'm a quitter, it can leak out into other areas of your life.
Yes.
And rather than doing that, there is a way that you can even just give it some thought to make it a more empowering, better goal. The loser goal to me seems to be a very static thing. It's really not going to evolve. It's going to remain this way. And if I don't follow this, if I don't become a loser, well, then I'm a loser.
and that's just one element of what I would call a loser goal, to dive into it a bit more. Another way to make it a loser goal is to make it general, not specific, right? So I lose weight in 2024. Well, how much weight? How do you know whether you're winning or losing? Is it a pound? Is it 20 pounds? What happens if you gain weight? And you make it this general, overarching, non-specific thing. And another way people do that, oftentimes because of fear of failure, is they don't give themselves a specific timeline. So we get general instead of specific. We just say sometime in 2024, if even that. Sometimes we wouldn't even bring it down to the year if it's a true loser goal. It's just sometime when convenient, right?
Sometime when convenient, I'm going to be a loser.
Yeah, I'm going to be a huge loser. Exactly, right? And it's like, this is the opposite of what a goal is supposed to do. It does not inspire you to take action. It does not hold you accountable. It doesn't unlock any of these power benefits that real true goal setting actually has, right? And that's just another real big way that people sabotage themselves, setting loser goals without actually knowing it, right? Because they're not getting specific enough either in what success actually is for them and by when they are going to achieve such a
goal. And I hear this because I talk to the women that we work with quite a bit about nutrition, and I'll hear this that the way they'll frame it is, I'm going to cut out. Or I'm going to stop eating.
They're going to be huge losers.
They're going to, and then the focus is on everything you can't have, that you've told yourself you can't have.
Everything you got to take away.
Everything you've got to take away. Everything you're going to lose out of your life instead of reframing it. So how would you reframe it now?
Well, now we're getting into the more positive topic, the other side of goals where they do what they're actually supposed to do, or at least give us a much higher chance of success. And that's what we call a champion's goal, right? A champion's goal.
Even the word champion sounds better than being a loser.
Being a loser. I think most would probably be more motivated to fall into that department than into being a loser with goals, right? So really, we've touched on a couple things. One thing is to frame what you want in the positive, right? You're not going to be a quitter. You're not going to be a loser. It's fine if we feel we need the number on the scale to go down a bit. That's not, I'm not making fun of those people. That's not a bad goal. That would do a lot of people a lot of good, right? It's just that like we started with, just our language and how we frame it. Very much when we carry that with us in our head all the time, it will determine the outcome. So you want to focus more on putting things in the positive light. So instead of something as simple as weight and as common as that for a goal, right? It's not what you lose, it's what you weigh, right? It's what you weigh. And that's like the first thing for getting to a champion goal is your language. But then, well, you do some opposites of the loser goals, right? So if we need to get specific on what we want, well, let's keep using the same example. We weigh a certain amount, right? But by a certain date, right? And now we are up in the stakes. We are up in the odds. Are you going to carry this out? Are you going to show yourself that you are someone who will commit and follow through, right? Are you going to do the work? Are you going to take this seriously? And just getting specific and creating a bit of a timeline creates some urgency. And that's what's lacking from loser goals. They think they want it, but the way they frame it in their mind makes it so time goes by and we don't do anything. Right. We can't frame it in a length of time or something. And so we don't know whether we succeeding or failing. And the last thing I would say where most people go wrong between the two is a champion's goal is present tense, right? A loser's goal is somewhere in the future, right? Where one day, maybe I'm going to weigh this much. So now, okay, we're saying what we're going to weigh, but we're framing it in some future-oriented state, right? Where I'm going to, or this is what I want, or our famous someday I'll. Someday I'll hit this goal. Yeah, someday I'll. And when you do that, again, you're sabotaging yourself. This is the loser technique and talent, right? The champion's mindset is present tense, right? So you would frame your goals with like, I am, I earn, let's say income, right? I earn. Well, what is the amount? What do you earn in a month? What's your goal this year, right? I earn, present tense, I create, if you want to build something or a podcast, right? It's a present tense, action-oriented word, and then the goal, and then a by date, right? And if you're doing that present tense, again, you are making it more about what you're becoming than what you're going to become one day. More about what you're achieving today, because each day is leading me a little bit closer to these things that I say I want. I'm becoming it a little bit more. I'm acting it out rather than waiting for that time, sometime in the future, that I'm gonna do this or I'm gonna have that.
That's a visual to hang on to too. What you're becoming. Because it's really difficult to stand on the scale, look at a number, and feel really good about what you're becoming because you're losing.
Yeah.
I think if you are focusing on habits, you're finding a way, and you are becoming that person, and you've got a lot more than just what the scale is telling you. It can be so much more empowering. And I liked your idea of a timeline. I think that's really critical because otherwise it's going to be December 1st, 2024, and you realize you didn't do or accomplish what you said you were going to accomplish. So that's when people go to these crazy, I got to lose 30 pounds in 30 days. And we know that doesn't work. That's a subject for another podcast.
Sabotage.
But I think setting a realistic timeline, being brutally honest about what that realistic timeline looks like, but setting that realistic timeline, maybe you've got a big trip planned for the summer, and I want to be able to hike or whatever it is that you want to do on your holiday. So between now and that holiday, I am. And start empowering yourself and start becoming that person. Every single day you move closer to being that person. Feels like a much more empowering and energetic thing to do. Yes,
that each day, the idea is each day when we're truly goal setting in a champion way, really you start your days with your goals. Right? You start it and you carry it and it's on your mind. And the way to do that, if we're going to compare a loser goal to a champion goal as well, a very important item is champions write their goals down. Losers do not. The loser goals, right? And this is very simple. And when we write it down, it's not in the notes section of your phone or on an app or on your computer. It is the old-fashioned way, pen and paper
and you will write your goals in the way that the champion way, with, present tense, what the thing or is, that you're going to do, be, or have, and then the timeline, and you write that out. And I encourage people, if you're really going to be a champion with goals, you do that every day. And I'm allowed to say that because I do it every day. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's been a real game changer for me. Does that mean every day is perfect? Does that mean, it doesn't feel like some days maybe I didn't do the best with my time or move forward or take the actions I needed? Of course, but that's the challenge. You don't get to be a champion without some challenge in your life, and that's what a goal does. It induces some challenge. It makes it a little more difficult. Where I got to be, for me, it's generally time management. You know me. I'm a little bit seat of my pants, right? I can wing things. Right, I'm the back. I still have that inner backpacker who woke up and got on the bus and didn't know where he was going or what he was going to do that day, and the adventure. And it's still like there's obviously room for that. But now owning a business, having a family, and having more responsibility, I need to manage my time wisely, seeing that that's where all your results are going to be made, or in the present, right here, right. So I start my days with like what are my goals. And never more than 10 that I'm accomplishing a year, because otherwise you sabotage yourselves by having 87 goals that you're going to do this week, right? Like a few main ones, even 3, and you are writing them down every day. You are keeping them fresh, because the most common thing, an example I use is, I remember years ago I did an exercise at the gym, trying to help people, but not knowing near as much about goals, where they each got a sheet and they wrote out 3 goals, like kind of what we're talking about, right? And then I was supposed to kind of keep them accountable and ask them throughout the year and different things. And I remember it wasn't that far from that time into the year. It's like, how are those goals going, baby? Yeah. What were my goals again? What were my goals, right? So they're obviously very much going to be a champion, and they're going to succeed on those goals when they have no idea what they are, right? That is the way to really achieve goals. Just make sure you don't even know what they are.
I actually remember you handing that sheet out.
Yeah? You remember that? That's way back.
I remember there was a box to write 3 things down.
Yeah, what were your goals, Joe? Did you hit them?
No, I didn't.
So it's like we have to keep goals if we're gonna be a champion with them, beyond how New Year's resolutions get made fun of and everything because they don't stick. And it's not that this is bad, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great time to reassess where you're going. Most people get so caught up with the busyness of life that they never slow down to actually try and figure out what they're trying to accomplish or what they're doing beyond the day-to-day, beyond the, get the kids to sports and make enough money to not starve. And do you know what I mean? We just get into that grind, and it's like, wait a minute, what am I actually trying to do here? Usually that happens at this time of the year. So that's a good thing. The problem is that most people, in my experience, don't know anything about setting goals.
They don't. And I mean, I was one of them. I know a little bit more now because of our conversations. But I think part of the reason I really like the idea of writing them down too is in the way that you frame them, they can continue to evolve.
Yes.
The goal doesn't need to remain static. It can evolve. It can become something even more. You're keeping it fresh in your mind every single day if you are writing them down like that. Mm-hmm. And you can allow it to evolve. So you may surprise yourself and realize that this goal was a little too small. This could be even more. It could lead to something. Mm-hmm. But how would you know if you're not specific and you don't have a timeline and you're not focused on it? Mm-hmm. I mean, I can give you a brief example, a personal one. Just recently, I decided, I read a couple studies, talked to a medical professional, that I would try and lose 5 pounds of body fat to see if it made a difference in the issues I have with my knees. Because there are studies that show for every extra pound, you're putting 3 pounds of pressure into your knees. So I thought maybe 15 pounds of additional pressure, if I can alleviate that, will help. So honestly, I started with a loser goal. I was going to lose 5 pounds.
Way to be a loser, Joe.
Lose 5 pounds because I've learned nothing from my coach. And, it is tough. You step on that scale and it's either if it went down, I'm a loser and I'm going to feel better about myself. If it stayed the same, it was a struggle, a mental struggle. I'm already in a healthy body weight range. So it wasn't, there wasn't that impending, I have to do this, because it was more just to find out, does this, will this help or not? But I started reframing it that I am doing this to alleviate pressure on my knee. I am making small adjustments in my habits to alleviate, to feel better, and that helped, on making those daily choices by reframing it to something that felt energizing and empowering, and like I was moving towards something instead of losing.
What you did there in your infinite wisdom with goal setting.
I do learn things, Coach.
Yeah,
I may learn slowly, but I do learn things.
You always come through. Absolutely. What you're doing is you're taking your goals and you're framing them more about the process than about the result. And this can be a very, very positive thing. It's funny. I read from some different influencers or different stuff, where it was one or the other. It's like goals are if you want to achieve things one time, processes are if you want to achieve things, like bigger things all the time. And it's like, well, yeah, but without that, so they were putting down having goals because it only works once. But how do you have a process without the goal?
Where is it taking you?
How do I make a process for something when I don't know what I'm trying to achieve? For you, it's alleviating knee pain rather than, the physical needing to lose 5 pounds just to test it out and be coachable and these type of things, learning from the pros that are describing this stuff for you, right? That it could help. But it's like, you need both. It's two sides of the same coin. You need a goal, a firm thing, whether that's to the 5 pounds, which makes you 170, or whether it's the alleviating knee pain and how you feel. You need something firm to be able to build a process around what it is. And what you do if you have small victories at first is what you need. That's why you need to make your timeline doable, and your goals need to stretch you a little bit, but not become overwhelming.
Right.
When we're in the phase of overwhelm, it actually, in my experience, it sends us backwards.
It does.
Because it's like, why am I even going to try? Like, what's the point? And we spend more time fighting with ourselves over what we say we want than actually taking action towards it. Right? And we, again, this is lack of maybe knowledge of how to set a goal, and we sabotage ourselves with an unrealistic timeline and or an unrealistic goal. And I think it's a good thing. There's no such thing as an unrealistic goal, just an unrealistic timeline. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's where people get mixed up. If they have 100 pounds to lose, well, that can happen. If that can be a goal. And that's not an unrealistic goal. It's happened for many, many other people. So why not maybe this person who has some weight to lose? Where it gets unrealistic is the timeline. They're going to do it in 6 months. They're going to do it in 3 months. They're going to do it, whatever it is. And that's where we get discouraged because it's not realistic. You're hating the process because things are completely out of whack there, whether we realize it or not, right? So, but to continue on though, what you have done is once people get some small wins with saying that, hey, this goal setting stuff actually is making a difference. It actually works. In time, what generally tends to happen is naturally people tend to focus more on the process because it's become an enjoyable, inspiring part of who they are. Where really my favorite Jim Rohn quote probably is that it's not about what you achieve, it's who you become.
And that's so powerful.
And that's why you set goals, right? That is this whole thing. This is why you set goals. Yes, you have to achieve some things in the short term to believe in it and to keep going. But in time, you'll realize, whoa, through starting with some small goals, working on myself, achieving them through a champion-like goal system, it's like, I've become something totally different.
And once you become something and you love who you've become, you will never go back.
Absolutely.
You will never, be in that position again. But if you hated the process, it makes me think of a conversation I actually had with your wife this summer. Shout out to Faith. About she was telling me about different hikes that she had done, and it was obvious that she's very passionate about this. She loves hiking, and but she wasn't talking about always reaching the summit or always being, just taking a selfie at the top.
Summit.
She talked about the hike, about walking through, the peaks and the valleys and some of the scrambling and the
smells
and everything that she was experiencing, when it and it was obvious that she loves the hike, not just the summit. So she had a goal. I mean, obviously I like what you said about you need that goal, because otherwise you're just wandering around and, I guess you could just wander around through the peaks and valleys, but there was that goal, there was the summit, but you could tell that was not the I guess the highlight of the whole day was not that selfie on the summit. The highlight was getting there and the company she's with and what, the whole process. And I thought that visual kind of stuck with me, that if the only reason that you are doing that is to get to the summit, to get that selfie, but you hate the whole thing.
And then you got to go all the way back down.
You got to go all the way back down. Chances are you're not going to say, I'm a hiker. You're a person that takes a selfie at the summit is what you are. And probably not going to have a lot of hiking stories unless you learn to enjoy that process.
Yes.
So I think that's kind of what you're saying here is, and they had a timeline, obviously they weren't going to take 4 weeks to get to the top. They needed to be back.
Yeah.
There's that whole analogy on that, which I think is really actually stuck with me and something I think about quite often. So I like the idea of setting the goal, having the process, having that timeline, but there's so much in there, and it's almost like there needs to be like a workshop or a process or something developed that people could use, because I've had lots of conversations with you, so by I guess osmosis I've gotten a lot of that, but it would be really so cool if there was something that was in development, being developed, has been developed, tested out, and is going to be rolled out in 2024 that could help people listening to this that don't have such access to you to do this. So
that would be amazing.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
That's a really good idea. I should maybe work on that or do something about that. No, just kidding. Yes, that sounds awesome. Shout out to the two wonderful people behind the cameras right now who a while back now they helped me shoot a motivational talk that I gave in person, and have turned it into an online 90-minute workshop all about what we're talking about. We're giving a little glimmer of some key things, but deep diving in really the difference between how your life's going to be and what happens with more of a loser type goal or no goals at all, compared to learning how to set a champion type goal and having a system for making it part of who you are so that you can become what you want to become.
What you want to become, and step by step instructions each way. And this is proven. You have had people that have done this step by step with some pretty audacious goals. These pretty, it's not just little goals, some pretty amazing things that have been able to, to do that and enjoy the process. So do you want to give a little more hint?
Yeah. I can give a little bit more. No, you're right. I think what I love seeing is that, I felt almost like, what's the word? Like convicted, or like I needed to do this. I needed to put together a workshop based on this crazy deep dive that I went for multiple years, reading, however many books it is, beyond number, on really this subject of goals and stuff. And I saw results and clarity and things happen in my life and I'm still am because I still use this system. And I thought, well, I gotta roll this out. I got something here, and then to see that the people that were at the live workshops and have applied it, what they learned, like you say, they end up moving into the dream home or and on a far smaller time scale, and they used it and they were sending me messages and they're so encouraged. And so, it's one of those things where it's like, I've gone back and forth for so long, and that I've had this course, but it's like, I struggle with things just like anyone else, confidence, and like me, I'm reading books by these total studs, and whether, some of the greatest speakers of all time. And now Matt comes out with a course that he just has to title Find Your Chickens.
Find your chickens, people.
Because of the opening story of the whole system. And of course, I had to make the chickens a big part of the armory as well, the banner and everything, right? It sounds ludicrous, but it's like on the other side of it, it's like this represents hundreds of hours of study and application, and at the same time as there's almost like some embarrassment, like, come on, Matt, hundreds of books and you come up with Find Your Chickens, like, give me a break here. The other side is actually like excitement, like, you know what? This could make a big difference. This could really help people. I've gone through the online course, even though I know the content, so many times on my own. I do it when I'm doubting myself because it's like, I don't know, I'll just back to the drawing board. It's the title's too wacky, and I didn't say this right, or I wanted to frame it like this, and I don't know. And then I watch it, I'm like, without getting too egotistical here, I'm like, man, this is pretty good. Well, this could be pretty helpful to somebody.
To quote your assistant coach, have every confidence in you.
Yeah.
It is good. It is cool. It works. We know it works.
Yes.
And so I am really excited. I think the title is awesome. I think the origin story is amazing. I think it's going to make a big difference in a lot of people's lives in 2024.
Well, thank you so much, Coach. It is a goal of mine that I have been writing. So you guys, anybody that's listening, it is going to drop. Shout out to Susie, my website designer, who's amazing. She helped take the course and get it onto the Armoury website. It's going to be going live on January 2nd, which pretty timely time to learn about setting goals for people that aren't really sure of themselves, or maybe feel like they've been more on the loser side of what we're describing. I'm gonna give a great deal. I'm gonna go half price to unveil it, and I'm really excited just to put it out there and make it official, because it's kind of shameful, but kind of realizing like this is how life works and things go. It's not perfect. Is when I rewatched it the latest time, man, it hit me. This has been over 2 years in the works, yes. Right? Because when I was speaking in the course, I mentioned some things about having kids, and I had a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. I now have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old.
So it's time to roll it out, Coach.
It's taken me a long time to get to the point where it's like, okay, let's just do this. Yes. Worst case scenario, I sell one. Thank you very much, Mom.
I'm pretty sure my mom will too.
Yeah. I'm so well spoken.
My mom thinks you're very articulate and so well spoken.
Right. So 2, thank you, Joanne's mom, as well. And really, what do I have to lose by just saying, hey, this is the best I can do to this point? Am I going to continue learning? Of course, because that's a part of who I am. That excites me and in my day-to-day life. Is there something where in 5 years it's like, oh man, I could do this or that or this? And it's like, yeah, and I can build on this and I can go 2.0. But it's like, if I don't do this, man, there's a lot to lose.
Well, and I think the goal should not be perfect. The goal should not be that, well, when it's perfect, I'm going to roll this out, because perfect doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. So Now that we've announced it, you can stop procrastinating.
It's official now.
It's going January 2nd.
January 2nd.
2024, you follow this. It is proven. If you're feeling overwhelmed, like I don't know how to set my goals. There's so much. It gets so vague. I'll give up. I'll panic. This is going to guide you every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're serious about your goals and you want to be a champion, this is the way to do it. You're going to find some chickens.
Give it a boom, baby, there. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, I'm really appreciating the positive feedback that we're getting. You guys just listening to our conversations here, which we are happy to continue to do. Please let us know any feedback, anything you have, and wait for the chickens to drop January 2nd, 2024. If you've never set goals, if you always seem to be sabotaging yourself and not making progress, gaining and losing the same weight over and over, things like this, this course could really make a big difference in your life, and I'm really excited to roll it out to you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.